Looking back now, I realize that 30 years of marriage passed in the blink of an eye. I'm 45 years old, and 3 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. My husband and I met and fell in love when we were 15 years old. We weren't each other's first love, but we built a strong relationship that lasted 30 years. I really thought we were happy. Of course, my husband had his moments of being overwhelmed and he could get frustrated, but he was always open about his feelings, and if something was bothering him, he would tell me straight away. We both have a bad temper, but we always managed to resolve our problems. We had 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. I stayed at home to raise them, while my husband worked long hours, usually 50 hours a week, for a construction company. Even when he was tired from work, he always helped with the housework. Every weekend, he let me rest, and when I woke up, the house was already clean and breakfast was ready. The problem started when our eldest went to university and our youngest started junior high school, and I no longer needed to keep an eye on him all day. I felt lost, as if I had no purpose. My husband noticed the change in me and suggested that I go back to work. Now I regret not choosing to take up gardening or join a book club. I found a job as a customer service representative at a local insurance company. After 20 years at home, it felt good to work again. Jade, 2 of my colleagues in their 20s, took me into their circle. My husband encouraged me to spend time with them because I didn't have many female friends, and it seemed fair as I always let him hang out with his work buddies. But Raven and Jade started planting ideas in my head. They said I could do better than my husband, pointing out the younger guys at work and telling me I was wasting my best years with someone who didn't appreciate me. Their friend, Trevor, an accountant, joined us for lunch and said my husband was past his prime. I was ashamed to admit it, but I started to believe them. I started to see my husband differently, and when he tried to show affection, I pushed him away. I made cruel comments about his weight. He sensed something was wrong and asked me what was going on, but I told him he was imagining things. Then Trevor took action. He was my age, fit and healthy, and compared to my usual company, he seemed healthy and full of energy. We started seeing each other in secret, and for a while I felt young and full of desire. I was horrible to my husband, lying, making excuses, and avoiding him. I didn't recognize myself anymore. One evening, everything came crashing down over dinner. My husband noticed the thing around my neck and crushed the glass in his hand. I will never forget the look in his eyes, pure hatred. Our son ran upstairs to cry, and when my husband came back from the emergency room with stitches, he just said, "I want a divorce." I had never heard him use such harsh words. I could only cry, while our child watched from the stairs, his eyes full of disgust. My husband moved to an apartment across town, and Trevor started showing up uninvited, even though I told him not to. This made my children angry. The first time my husband came to pick up our son, Trevor tried to act tough. My husband just laughed and said, "Not yet, but soon." After they left, I yelled at Trevor and told him he had no respect, but he turned it around and accused me instead. From then on, Trevor started to change. He began controlling what I ate and wore. When we were alone together, he would say mean things. I accepted it all, thinking it was what I deserved. The divorce was easy. We split everything equally, and I got the house, but I had to pay him his share. Our son chose to live with my husband, and my older daughters stopped speaking to me altogether. I only found out that my younger daughter was engaged when my husband mentioned it in passing. I only found out that my daughter was engaged when my husband signed the divorce papers. I felt my heart break when he placed the wedding ring on the divorce papers. I realized that I had never formally apologized to him. I sat there staring at the ring, finally understanding that I had messed everything up. I had destroyed my family for no reason. A week after the divorce, Trevor hit me for the first time. It happened because I accidentally knocked his phone over. I broke down and cried, calling my ex-husband. He only asked if he had touched the children. I said no. Over the next 2 months, Trevor's behavior got worse and worse. I told myself that I had only myself to blame. For 30 years, my ex-husband had never hit me. But now I accepted the abuse as punishment for my mistakes. It all stopped when Trevor hit my youngest daughter. She was spending the summer at university. She was the only child still living with me. The others were with their father. She called her father, who came straight home. My ex-husband came in, gave Trevor a free shot, and then knocked him unconscious. I had to beg him to stop. He asked our daughter which hand Trevor had hit her with, and when she told him, he stepped on it. Then he dragged him to the hospital and told them he had fallen down the stairs. Trevor quit his job and left town the next day. I tried to move on with my life and go back to work. But then I found out that my ex was sleeping with all my single friends, including Raven, the woman who had encouraged me to cheat. Raven kept crying and complaining to me that he wouldn't return my calls. I knew he was doing it to hurt me. I tried dating again, but it didn't work. As a single mother, most men were intimidated, and none of them could compare to my ex-husband, not even Trevor. It made me question everything. I realized that I had been really happy before, but I let someone manipulate me and ruined my marriage. It became very quiet at home. My son either shut himself in his room or went to his father's. My daughters, except for the youngest, didn't want to talk to me. That was very painful for me. Then my ex-husband called a family meeting to get my children together again. Although most of them didn't want to attend, during the meeting, my ex-husband slapped our son when he was cursing at me. My ex-husband slapped him. "Did I ever curse your mother?" He asked our son to shake his head. "She is your mother. She loves you. You have to respect her. What happened between us is none of your business." After that, the situation with the children slowly improved. 2 years after the divorce, my ex-husband and I became friendly again. He came over to fix things in the house. We talked about the children and sometimes laughed. One day I wanted to kiss him, but he pushed me away. He just said the word no and left. A month later, he started dating my son's maths teacher. She was 12 years younger than us, very pretty, and they had a lot in common. It made me sad to see him look at her the way he used to look at me, to see him make her laugh and focus all his attention on her. At that point, I finally understood why everyone had told me before how lucky I was to have him. When I heard they were getting married and expecting twins, I woke up in the hospital and found him sitting next to me, brushing the hair from my face. I asked for his forgiveness, and he just listened silently. He visited me every day, except when he had to check on his fiancée. She even visited me in person. His new wife came to visit me a lot, to chat with me, and to make sure I was okay. I tried to hate her, but I couldn't. She was a good person. Their twin boys are adorable, and my ex still makes sure I eat well. He told me that no matter what happened, I would always be the mother of his children. He still stands by me as a friend. Last weekend, he came over to let me sleep in and clean the house while he made breakfast, just like before. I broke down and cried. I miss him so much, my husband, my best friend. I still don't understand how I could be manipulated so easily. My children are here now, but things are not the same. The person I want most has left, and maybe one day I will leave too. But for now, I know I should bear this loneliness. My therapist says that time heals all wounds, but some scars remain to remind us of the mistakes we have made. I am learning to live with my scars. My youngest daughter has been my pillar of strength, understanding me and encouraging me when I want to give up. The company eventually promoted me to manager. I eventually fired Raven and the others who destroyed my marriage. His new wife told me that one day I would need to forgive myself, but it is hard to do now when I watch him build the life we should have had. Some nights I lie awake wondering if the woman who abandoned everything really was me. I had everything, but was convinced by toxic people that it wasn't enough. They say you don't appreciate what you have until you lose it. But I know what I have, and I would never destroy it myself. Thank you for watching.